Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Love Yourself to Health podcast. My name is Alyssa, and I'll be here each week teaching you how to build a body that you genuinely love. As women, we have been taught so much misinformation about what our bodies should look like, how we should eat, and how we should work out. And I'm here to dispel all the myths and to teach you how to feel better, eat more without gaining weight, and to build a toned, lean, feminine physique, all without dieting, endless hours of cardio, or beating yourself up for getting off track. Here, we're all about treating our bodies with love and respect, and of course, having fun along the way. Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Love Yourself to Health podcast. I am very excited. I've been wanting to start a podcast for a very long time. And yeah, I can't believe I'm finally getting around to it. So I wanted to take today to introduce myself to you guys, to let you know a little bit more about me, about what I do, why I'm starting this podcast, who it's for, what we're going to talk about, and yeah, kind of all of that fun stuff. So let's just jump right into it. So my name is Alyssa. Hello. I am an online health coach. I am also a personal trainer. Most of the stuff I do is online, so anybody around the world can be helped by me. So let's go back to the very, very beginning, in like middle school, high school era. Sure, let's go there. So I actually wasn't into any sports or anything like that. I mean, when I was really little, I did like figure skating, gymnastics, a little bit of dance, a little bit of soccer. My mom kind of put me in everything. And then we moved to Kelowna when I was 11. And there wasn't as much, because we moved from Edmonton, there wasn't as much to do here for kids, like for activities and whatnot. So my mom made me kind of decide what I wanted to do. So I ended up choosing piano and singing lessons. So from the time I was 11 till like 18, most of my extracurricular stuff was actually singing and musical theater. So I was trained in musical theater. I did a lot of choir in school. When I graduated, I did actually take 1 year of opera at university. I did a play here, a musical. I did My Fair Lady. So yeah, my background had pretty much nothing to do with fitness. It was all just singing, musical theater, whatever. I didn't care for sports or anything like that. Although I really did like being strong. So I would always try to like arm wrestle my brother's friends. I would like to go like rock climbing and I don't know, things like that. I liked to be strong, but I never actually did any sports. And that wasn't until I was older. So when I was young, I actually grew up with pretty good self-confidence, which is definitely something that I didn't think was abnormal. I always thought it was weird that my friends, my girlfriends, never thought that they were pretty or that they could do things. Like some of them didn't even think they were that smart, and it just made me really sad to see how they saw themselves, because I saw them as like very beautiful women and not fat at all. Like some of them thought that they were fat or would call themselves whales or these really sad, mean things that they would say to themselves, and it always just like broke my heart to hear them say things like that about themselves, because I didn't think it was true whatsoever. And I thought they were crazy. I was like, how in the world can you think that about yourself? That's so not true. And as I got older, I realized that that was the norm, that most women grew up thinking of themselves this way, not seeing themselves the way that other people saw them, or seeing themselves as never skinny enough, or, never pretty enough. They always had to go buy the newest trends of clothes to fit in with everybody else. And even if they did, they'd get made fun of or see themselves not in the best way. Or that they'd have to eat so little food in order to lose weight that they didn't even have to lose. And nobody has to lose weight. You're beautiful just the way you are. And just seeing so many women seeing themselves like this, and that this was the norm. And when I was younger, I thought that just telling them that they were pretty, that they were crazy for thinking otherwise, was going to help them. And it never did. You know, I always would tell my friends how pretty they were, but they never believed me. They always, for some reason, thought I was lying. So this has definitely been something that's been important to me since I was young, but I never really knew how to help people with it until more recently. So let's go back past the high school era. Let's go to kind of right outside of high school going into university. So my first year of university, not what I expected, did not do as well as I planned. I did very well in high school, so switching to university where I didn't actually know how to study. I got through high school without learning how to study. University is very different, and I definitely learned the hard way. And the funny thing is, I didn't even do that bad. I think I was getting like 75s in classes, and I was used to getting like straight A's. So when I saw 75, that was just apparently not good enough for me. So I just kind of stopped trying, and I definitely dropped out of a few classes and yeah, just did not do as well as I wanted to do. So I actually ended up taking off a year and going to Germany to be an au pair or a nanny, a live-in nanny for a year. And while I was there, I had never had any issues with my weight ever. I could always eat as much as I wanted. You know, teenagers are growing. We can always eat lots of food. And then when I went to Germany, they had, you know, there was always food, lots of really good breads and meats, and they always offered me seconds, which was not something that I was used to, and I always felt rude if I would say no, so I'd be like, okay, sure. And I ended up eating, you know, more than my body was used to, and I put on like 10 pounds after the first couple months. And you know, young me, I was 19 years old, that was a shock to me. I'd never gained weight before, and it's kind of funny to look back at pictures because my face is like all puffy. I actually look like I got a little bit of chubby face there, and it's interesting to see how differently my body holds weight, because right now I'm actually like 20 pounds heavier than like the 10 pounds that I had gained, and I hold my weight so differently now, and I'm very confident in my body and how it looks and whatnot. So it's interesting to kind of look back and see how much just that small weight gain kind of messed with me. But it didn't mess with me too much, because I immediately was like, okay, this has happened. I'm not that okay with this, so I'm just going to do some research, figure out what I need to do to get myself back to feeling healthy and kind of get my eating habits on track and whatnot. So that is what actually sparked me getting into fitness. So I did both fitness and nutrition. I think I actually started with running, which I did not like. I've tried running a few times in my life, and most of the time I don't like it. I get shin splints. I've figured out how to not get shin splints now. It's all about technique, and yeah, I've learned. I've gotten better, although I still don't like it. But yeah, so I started running, didn't like that, and then I got a membership at a gym. My host mom, the mom of the girl I was nannying, she had like a few free passes to Aquafit classes. So yeah, my very first introduction to like fitness was an Aquafit class, which was actually really fun. I was for sure the youngest person. Most people were like older ladies, and it was like some buff guy teaching this class. So he was just like up on the deck teaching us all the moves. And I was like, I always thought that was funny. I'm like, I don't think this is what you do to get super buff, but you're just teaching a class. So I think I had 2 or 3 of those classes. And then I could also use the gym. So I started doing my own research into working out. And I learned how to like use the machines. I read all the like women's health magazines, and this was like back in 2011, so like 10 years ago. So yeah, just doing all the research, looking up online, like figuring out whatever I could about working out. And I feel like I'm lucky that when I first learned about this stuff, I did learn about resistance training and building muscle and getting stronger. And I think because when I was younger, I always liked being strong, that I was definitely more drawn towards the weightlifting aspect of fitness rather than the cardio aspect, which I did start with, and I think I did a little bit but I definitely liked the weight stuff more. That was more what I was drawn to. And then with nutrition, I definitely went about it the wrong way, but I sure learned a lot in the process. So I believe I was only eating like less than 1,000 calories a day, which is absolutely insane. And I definitely had binges at night. I would get up in the middle of the night and eat like baguettes with cheese and like jam, and it was very yummy. There was a lot of yummy snacks, but I would always like hide and eat the snacks when nobody was looking because everybody was like, oh my goodness, she's so healthy, she's eating all these healthy things during the day, she's like keeping track of everything that she's eating. So I didn't want to like give off the impression that I wasn't this healthy person. And looking back, it makes me so sad that I was doing this when I was a nanny for a young girl, and it's scary to think that I may have been inadvertently teaching her some of these habits of like weighing all my food and tracking everything that I ate, and not eating what everybody else was eating because I was so focused on losing those 10 pounds that I had gained. And, I never thought any of this stuff while I was doing it. While I was doing it, I thought, like, I'm learning a lot about nutrition. I'm doing things that are really good for myself. I lost that weight within just a couple months so that by the time I went back home, it was like nothing had changed. And it was only for a very short period of time. I just did it until I lost the 10 pounds, and then I just went back to normal. And I did learn some good things along the way. So one thing that was super important that I learned was about nutrients and making sure that I was getting in all of my vitamins and minerals, because the app that I used, which is to this day the same app that I use, which is kind of crazy, it was just a website back then called Cronometer. So it's very focused on nutrients. So I did make sure that everything that I ate hit all of my vitamin and mineral targets. And then that kind of changed my eating patterns moving forward. So at least I was getting way better at trying different foods and getting in way more vegetables than I used to, focusing more on eating more whole foods, more natural foods, less processed stuff. So that really became a focus of my health moving forward. And besides those few months where I was like meticulously tracking and eating less than 1,000 calories a day, I definitely came away with some actual healthy patterns, which is really good, and I feel like really lucky for me, because I know a lot of people, when they get into meticulously tracking, a lot of times that can be really detrimental and something that they keep with them for a really long time that they can't get away from. So I'm very grateful that I was able to do that for just a short period of time, even though it still was not the best way to go about doing it. There are some really good things that I did take away from that process. And since then, I always had people around me starting to ask me advice about health and nutrition and stuff, because it was something that, I don't know, that experience really sparked something in me, and I just became super interested in it. Another thing that was super interesting to me that I think led this a little bit more was longevity. So I actually really wanted to make sure that everything that I did in my life was going to help me live a really long, healthy, happy life. Even when I was a teenager, all of my friends would like go to the beach and tan, and I would always get so mad at them because they wouldn't wear sunscreen, and I was always like, you guys are gonna look so wrinkled and leathery when you're in your 30s and 40s. And of course they are young and they're like, oh, I don't care what I look like then. And of course there's me. I definitely need to wear sunscreen. I'm very, very, very pale. I glow. So I definitely need to wear sunscreen, but I also was like, I want to look good when I'm older. Like, I care about my older self, which is another thing, like, I don't think very many teenagers think like that. But I've taken that with me my whole life. I'm always caring about my future self and my future health. So I think that's one thing that really led me to be so interested in nutrition and fitness, because it really makes a big impact on your life and your health overall, especially once you get into your late 20s. Things start to feel a little bit different than they did in your earlier 20s and when you were a teenager. So after I got back from Germany, I kind of had probably the next 4 years where I was still living in Edmonton before I moved back to Kelowna. So let's say between 2011 and 2016 was when I actually moved back here. So yeah, that was 5 years where my nutrition was pretty good. You know, I often would focus on the whole foods, healthy foods, and just getting in a good variety of stuff, trying new things. My nutrition was pretty good, and I often did a lot of research into that. And then my fitness kind of was on and off. So I would go to the gym for a couple months, and then I would get sick, or I would go for vacation, or something would throw me off of my routine, and then I wouldn't go for like another 4, 5, 6 months or longer, and then I'd get back into it, and same thing would happen. So I never really had the chance to get consistent at the gym and to actually see results from it. It was always just kind of a random thing. And I did find some of my old workout plans, which is so interesting to go through. I think most of what I learned was from a few different books. One of the ones that I really remember that stood out to me was the Women's Health Big Book of Exercises. It was like an inch thick, or even more. It was a thick book. It had all the different exercises, everything broken down. It taught you how to program workouts. It taught you how to have good form, good technique, how to warm up, do dynamic workouts. Like it had everything in there. And I think I actually learned a lot from it and was able to build really good workouts and have good warm-ups. Some of the stuff is a little bit different than what I do now, but I definitely did have a decent foundation to start on. So yeah, those 5 years were kind of all over the place. I did a little bit here and there, and then I'd fall off, and I'd do a little bit here and there, and then I'd fall off. And it wasn't until I moved to Kelowna again, after being away for university and school and Germany and all of that stuff, kind of discovering myself. So I came back to Kelowna, and I met my boyfriend Dawson. And I had been working out at the gym for about a month. I actually started with classes. So I was going to like Zumba and yoga and boot camps, and I did intend to actually start like working out in the gym. I just thought that it would be an easier way to keep me on track because it was like a set time. I had to sign up for it. So I was doing a bit of that, doing a bit of working out at the gym. And Dawson has been working out since he was 13. So he knows what he's doing. So I started working out with him, and we worked out together like 4 or 5 times a week. Definitely a lot of like powerlifting and bodybuilding. So bench press, squats, deadlifts, you know, all of the main compound movements that are really important to be good at. So we worked through a lot of that stuff. And a lot of what I learned definitely came from him and from us working out together. And then I continued to do my own research, and after we'd been working out together for like a year and a half, I decided to do a bodybuilding competition. So we actually did it together, and we had been in the process of doing our prerequisites for pharmacy, and we were kind of putting together our application, and we didn't really have much for extracurriculars because we spent a lot of our free time at the gym. So I was thinking, you know, we spend so much time at the gym, I think that I'd like to have something to show for that. So I was like, well, why don't we do a bodybuilding competition and put that on our application? So we did a bodybuilding competition. We did the prep ourselves. So I did tons of research into that. I joined a few different Facebook groups. I looked up different articles and blogs and just like read as much as I could. I hired a posing coach, and I think I actually did keto for this one. Learned a lot doing keto. Don't necessarily recommend it. It worked well for me, but I don't think it works very well for most people. It makes you lose a lot of like glycogen and water, so that initial weight loss that you see is not fat. And it's also not a very sustainable thing. Just very quick recap of my thoughts on keto there. So yeah, so we did our first bodybuilding competition. I got 3rd place, which I was incredibly proud of because the 2 people who got 1st and 2nd above me were being coached by the head judge who was running that show. So I felt like I actually did a really good job for myself, but I definitely had things that I wanted to improve in. And this really sparked something in me. I really enjoyed the bodybuilding process. I really liked being up on stage and presenting myself and learning all the poses. And yeah, just like having something to work towards. It was really, really fun. So I got a lot more into bodybuilding. I did another competition the next year, and I actually hired a coach this time. Huge difference in what happened there when I hired a coach. I didn't give myself enough time to prepare. I think I only had like 11 weeks to prepare for the show. We still did really, really well. I looked way better than I did my first show. I got a lot leaner. I learned even more. And I also learned more about what it means to be an online coach, because my coach was an online coach. So my second show, I ended up getting fourth place, but the people I was up against, the level that they were competing at was way higher than I was at. This was the last show to qualify you for like a pro show. So all that means is that the people I was competing against, they were high level people. They were wanting to go to the pro level, so they needed to do this show and then the next weekend do that really big show. And what I realized from this show is that I feel like the people I'm competing against are a bit too high level for me. Now, in bodybuilding, there is a lot of steroid use. You don't know exactly who's using steroids or whatnot. It's not tested in the organization that I was competing in. And I thought that I want to do this naturally. I've been doing it naturally the whole time, and I think I've done really, really well. But I think I've kind of come to my limit of what I'm going to be capable of doing competing against these people who may or may not be taking steroids. We don't know. So I decided my next show that I was going to do a natural competition. Now, that brings us into COVID times where my show got postponed and canceled that I had been working towards for like 7 months. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to compete since, but I have done a 7-month-long bodybuilding prep as if I was going to be competing. And it's been almost 2 years since I started prepping for that, which is so crazy. So that show was supposed to be like a year and a half ago. So that's kind of my experience with bodybuilding. Now, along this way, friends and family had reached out to me because they had seen that I was getting really fit and I was working on my fitness, I was doing bodybuilding competitions, so I had a lot of friends and family reach out to me for help to get them fit as well. Now, what happened is most of the times, I would do this for free. I would help them make a plan. We'd kind of go through what they were going to work on. And of course, because they weren't paying me anything, they didn't really have any skin in the game. They didn't really have anything really pushing them to actually follow through with it. So unfortunately, most of the time I would make plans for people, they would do it once or twice and then never follow through. And it wasn't until I had been working with my coach that I kind of learned more about online coaching and that maybe this was a thing that I could actually do. Because at the time, I was working in pharmacy. I was working as a pharmacy technician. And I had plans to become a pharmacist. And then, I got into fitness. I did my bodybuilding competitions. I started helping people with their fitness. And I realized that this was something that I really had a passion for. It was something that I really, really, really loved. And I also learned a lot about like mindset and habits and how to coach yourself through things, how to be more in control of what's going on in your brain and what's going on in your life and planning and like so many different things. And all of this stuff really relates to fitness and to health. And I feel like sometimes it's difficult to relay events of your own life because a lot of times, a lot of this stuff kind of gets jumbled together and I'm not really sure what happened exactly when. So let's see, it was I think 2018 or 2017, I think it was 2018, when I wanted to start teaching classes. So I wanted to start teaching fitness classes at the gym. And what I had seen is that most of what was being taught was like boot camp stuff. So light dumbbells, kind of jumping around a lot, not really building strength, but more so focus on cardio. And I wanted to do my own classes where we focused a bit more on the strength aspect. And I was looking into different certifications, and then at my gym, I saw some posters up that they were doing a certification for a new type of class that was coming out called World Gym Athletics. And it was supposed to be something similar to like CrossFit or F45 or Orange Theory, where it had like a lot of barbell and powerlifting stuff, but also a little bit of like HIIT and more high intensity. So I saw this and I was like, oh my goodness, that is exactly what I am looking for. So I signed up for it and got certified, and I have been coaching classes ever since, usually like 5:30 in the morning. So super, super early. And I've done a bunch of different certifications through them. So I've learned Olympic lifting, so cleans and snatches. I've really perfected my form. I've learned how to be a really good coach and how to help other people get really good at form and technique. We learned we had specialization programs on like running, so I actually learned how to do running technique, which is how I stopped getting my shin splints. And as a team, we all ran like a 10K, and I've just made really, really good connections with that. And I feel like that has been the thing that has made me the coach that I am today, was just all of my experience from coaching other people every single day. You learn so much from having to teach other people and having to correct other people and having to continue doing research and finding, the most up-to-date relevant information, because so many people who come in here have ideas from like 10, 15 years ago, which just aren't accurate anymore. And it's like having conversations with people, and everybody moves differently. Everybody learns differently. Everybody has different experiences in life. So the more people that I worked with, the more I learned about coaching and how to be a good coach. And it's just been a really incredible journey. And then after, I think I'd been doing that for maybe 6 months, and I decided that I wanted to do more. I wanted to learn more, so I got my personal training certificate, and that was really fun as well. And then I started taking on personal training clients as well. And then I think around that time was when I started training for my bodybuilding competition. So in the morning, I would teach a class at 5:30, teach a class at 7, go to work, do my own workout, do my own mobility routine. I actually hired a mobility coach as well. So I had a bodybuilding coach, I had a mobility coach. I'd come back from work, I'd do my workout, I'd do my mobility, I'd go home, I'd pack up my lunch for the next day and go to bed and do it all over the next day. And then I'd do like personal training on the weekend. And then I also had a couple online clients who I was also training for a bodybuilding competition. So it is crazy to think back to those times, how busy I was, but it didn't feel that bad, honestly, when I was doing it. I felt really productive. I had really big goals that I was working towards, and yeah, it was really, really, really exciting. Now, one thing that I did want to talk about was what happened when my show got canceled, or what's happened really coming out of bodybuilding competitions. Now, I feel like this is something that is getting talked about more now, but definitely not as much as it should have been. So every time you come out of a bodybuilding competition, you are at a very low body fat, you're not eating very much food, and you're probably moving around a lot during the day, like doing cardio, doing your gym workouts. So your body's using a ton of energy and really not getting much energy in by the way of food. So, and usually what happens after a bodybuilding competition is you're like, yay, it's over, it's done. Now we can be free and eat everything. And typically what happened to me after every single competition I've done is I have been feeling very deprived because my body needs food because it's functioning at a way too low energy every single day. So I got really bad cravings, really bad binges. I would eat like multiple meals in a row because I just couldn't tell when I was satiated. I was out of whack with my hunger signals. Everything was a little bit all over the place. And every single time I would gain back the weight that I had lost plus about 5 or 10 pounds. So every single time my set weight went up because my body was in a stress state from being dieted for so long, for being such a low body weight for so long, that when I came out of it, all it wanted was more food and to bring back my fat levels to, a normal, healthy level. So there is a way to go about this where this doesn't happen. It just requires a lot of discipline and a lot of planning. And I think the last time I did plan on doing this, but it was a shock when my show got canceled and then postponed instead of me actually being able to do my show and then do what's called a reverse diet. So my show actually got canceled 6 weeks out. It got postponed by like 3 or 4 months. I kind of trained for it a little bit, and then because I had a feeling it was going to be canceled again, which it was, and now it's been canceled so many times that it's now happening October 17th. So not this weekend, but next weekend. And my client who I've been working with for bodybuilding since I started has been training this whole time, and I'm so incredibly proud of her. And she's going to be competing there. I will not, because I decided to take some time off to kind of, fall back in love with my body at this new body weight, which I find is very, very, very important before you start any type of weight loss phase, is to become really, really comfortable and confident in your body the way that it is before you go trying to change things. So that's always something that I try to do between competitions. So even though growing up I never had any struggles with my body, with my weight, I have kind of inflicted it upon myself by doing bodybuilding competitions. And it's very similar to what happens when you do a lot of dieting. So if you're doing all these fad diets, usually what happens is you'll diet for like 30 days at a time and lose 30 pounds or something crazy like this, where you're eating very, very little foods, or you're totally cutting out carbohydrates or fat or something, where you're just not eating a normal healthy diet, where you're cutting out so many things and your body's so deprived that when you stop and try to go back, to normal, your body's like, okay, that was scary. You put us in a state where we weren't like getting enough food, so we're gonna need to prepare ourselves in case this happens again and hold some extra weight. So what I was going through is very similar to what a lot of people go through when we do yo-yo dieting. We go from diet to diet, lose a bunch of weight, go off the diet, gain it all back plus some, and then before you know it, you're like 30, 40, 50 pounds heavier than when you first started, all because you've been doing all of these crazy, crazy diets. Which is not fun. That's not what we want to happen. And what I really want to do is to be there to teach people, about what's happening, that it's not your fault. You're not a bad person because you've done all these diets and you've listened to what media has taught us, what our mothers have taught us, what our grandmothers have taught us, what our doctors have told us. All of this stuff out there about dieting and fitness that we've been taught for so long and ingrained in us is not necessarily the best information, and we're finding out more recently what is, what's actually going to be helpful. So what I do with my clients is I teach them how to eat typically more food, because a lot of times we're constantly not eating enough. And when we're not eating enough food, we're either not getting in enough nutrients, vitamins, minerals, that our functions of our body just are not working optimally. Maybe our hair is not growing very well. Maybe we're tired all the time. Maybe we're bloated all the time. Our nails are not growing. A lot of health issues can come down to your diet, where you're maybe just not even eating enough. So what I do with my clients is, if they're not eating enough, we do what's called a reverse diet, where we slowly bring up their calories so that your body's getting in as much energy as it actually needs during the day. And of course, we do this in a way where you're not going to be gaining weight, because we don't want to feed you too much food where you're going to put on extra weight, but we want to just get to the point where your body's getting in as much food as it needs to function in a day. And for women, that's typically between 2,000 and 3,000 calories, which is way higher than a lot of people seem to think that it is. A lot of people seem to think they need like 1,500 calories a day, and that is just not true. Your body's not going to function at its best if you're eating so few calories. And especially if you're somebody who's active and is working out and is trying to put on some lean muscle mass, you definitely need some extra food to be able to do that. So that's what I do with my clients, is we slowly build up their intake, build up how much they're eating in a day so that they really are functioning and feeling their absolute best. And of course, a big part of that is getting in your vitamins and minerals, so making sure we're eating well-balanced meals. And then of course, you don't want to feel restricted, because as soon as you start restricting yourself, that's when we start getting cravings. That's when we start getting binge cycles, and we end up eating way more than if we would have just, allowed ourselves to have that treat. So my clients, no food is demonized. You can have your ice cream, you can have your cookies. We just do everything in moderation, and we include it in the diet instead of saying like it's a bad thing that we never want to touch. So there's quite a few different concepts that I like to teach with my clients, and of course what I'm going to be talking about on this podcast, so that you can learn to approach nutrition in a healthy way that feels good to you, because it's going to be different for every single person. Everybody's going to go about something totally differently. It's going to feel different for everybody. We have different foods we like. Our bodies respond to things differently. So it's all about figuring out what works best for you. And then with fitness, I absolutely love teaching women how to work out and get strong and lift heavy weights, because there's, again, so much misinformation around women in fitness. We're always told that like if you lift heavy weights, you're gonna get big and bulky like these crazy bodybuilders who have been doing it for probably 10-15 years and are taking male hormones as steroids to look like that, by the way. So no, that doesn't just happen. You have to want that for it to happen. And even if you do, after a few years, start seeing yourself getting a bit more muscular than you would like to be, you can always tone it back. It's pretty easy to do, but that I have never heard of that happening to anyone that I know. It's pretty much you want to just be doing more. You want to get stronger. You want to lift even more weight. And that's what's going to get you the body type that you're looking for. Most women are looking for, lean, toned arms, a flat tummy, strong legs, juicy booty. I love that is becoming more of a thing that people want nowadays. And that body shape is going to be built by building muscle mass. Muscle mass isn't a scary thing. Muscle mass is what defines your shoulders and your arms. And the more muscle mass you have, the more energy your body's going to burn in a day, so the more food you can eat. Or even if you just stay eating the same, your body's just going to be burning the fat on your body to supply the muscle that it's building. And it's just a really fun process. And when you're focusing on getting stronger, on building muscle, you're treating your body in a totally different way than you would if all you're doing is cardio or HIIT workouts where you're just trying to burn as many calories as possible in the shortest amount of time. That's coming from a pretty negative place where you're just trying to change your body and change what it looks like, instead of coming from a place of wanting to see what you're truly capable of, to see yourself get stronger every single week, to see and challenge yourself with new movements like getting your first pull-up, doing really solid push-ups, maybe even doing handstands. I've had all of my clients reach these different milestones, and it is so exciting to see. And that is a way better driver to keep doing it than to just be trying to get smaller and smaller and smaller. and it just feels so much better. So that's kind of my philosophy that I like to teach women, is just how to feel better about yourself by treating your body with kindness, with love, with respect. And that's going to come from not just how you think, but really from what you're doing, by learning to lift weights, lifting heavier, becoming stronger, focusing on what you can do and challenging yourself, on focusing on fueling your body and giving your body what it needs, instead of, depriving yourself of all of your favorite foods, of trying to eat as little as possible and trying to burn as many calories as possible. It's a very negative place to come from. And when you're coming from a more positive space, everything feels so much better. And it is way easier to sustain and to keep going because it's actually fun and you're actually enjoying the process. So that is what I aim to be teaching you on this podcast. And I do actually have the next 6 episodes planned out. I wanted to start off with a series to kind of introduce you to my way of teaching and to kind of get the basics laid out. So I've actually called this series the Kickstart Your Health series. You can go into the show notes and there's a link in there to my link tree. So it's linktr.ee/ALYDAWS. If you click there, you can sign up for the Kickstart Your Health series. Now, if you're already subscribed to the podcast, yes, they're going to be aired there, but I'm also going to include an email every week to go with the series. And I'll even have some guides in there. So like a little document that has a recap of the episode and kind of just breaks everything down into a really easy to read and understand format, so that you can hold on to that, and when you want to refer back to it, instead of trying to take notes or listen to the whole episode again, you just have this easy guide that you can store on your laptop, on your phone, whatever, to refer back to. So it's going to be a 6-week series all about learning the basics of nutrition and fitness. So the first 3 weeks are going to be going into nutrition. So making sure you're listening to your hunger signals, how to build balanced meals so that you're staying fuller longer, kind of knowing like what foods to incorporate into your diet and all of that stuff, how to have a balanced diet and still get in your favorite foods without restricting. So kind of just going over the basics of nutrition without tracking, without dieting, just implementing some healthier habits and just becoming more in tune with your body and what it needs. So that's going to be the first 3 weeks. And then after that, we're going to be doing 3 weeks of fitness. So this is going to be very basics of fitness. I'm going to teach you how to build a full body workout plan. So if you're just starting working out, or if you work out 2 or 3 times a week, full body workout plans are fantastic. So I'll teach you my super easy process of designing those. I'll teach you the benefits of lifting weights and why I believe every single woman should be lifting weights. It does so much good stuff for you. And we'll also go over, what you need to be doing in your workouts to get the most out of them. So that's what we're going to be covering for the 6 weeks of the Kickstart Your Health series. So yeah, sign up with that link. Get on the email list so that you can become a part of that. I'm also going to be launching 2 new offers throughout this. So I'll have nutrition audits where you can book a call with me. You'll track your food for a week in my app. We'll have a call. We'll go through your nutrition. We'll come up with a plan for you moving forward where you can implement some habits, make a few changes so that your nutrition is really on point. And then you'll have a couple weeks to implement it, that you'll still be in contact with me, and you can ask me any questions you need if you need help with anything like recipe ideas or anything like that. So nutrition audits are going to be coming, and of course, as a part of the series, you're going to get first access to it, and I'm actually going to be giving away a few of those for free, and I'll have a special coupon code included in the emails that you can use. If you're one of the first few people to grab it and use that coupon, you will get it for free. And then, so you have to be part of the series to get that. The second thing I'm going to be launching at the end, so that one's going to be at the end of October. for nutrition. The second one is going to be at the end of November. And that's going to be the Working Woman's Guide to the Gym. So it's going to be a really amazing self-led course. So it's going to have videos in there. It's going to have worksheets. It's going to have guides. It's going to have a beginner's plan, an intermediate plan, and it's going to have everything you could possibly need to know about working out at the gym. You're going to learn how to design your own workout plans so that coming out of it, you know how to work out in the gym, you know what you need to be doing, you know how to get through any obstacles you may have, and you'll know how to make your own workout plans so that you can just go off on your own and feel super confident and comfortable at the gym. I'm going to go through all of the different barbell exercises, how to do them with in-depth video tutorials. I'm going to have like what to eat before and after workouts, what to wear, what shoes to wear, how to feel confident at the gym, just like everything that I've learned from working out from the last 10 years and working with all my clients and people that I coach. It's just going to be everything that you need to know. I'm super excited about that. It's going to be a massive thing, and that's why I'm going to have the workouts in there so you can just start with the workouts right away. You don't have to sit and go through everything that's in there. I want you to get started right away so that there's nothing holding you back. You've got a workout plan. You can go to the gym and just get started. And then take your time kind of making it through the other things and referring to different guides when you have something that comes up that you're struggling with, or like learning how to make sure you're doing proper warm-ups and all of that stuff. So this course is fully enclosed, so it's just going to be self-led. You do it yourself and whatnot. You can hold on to it for the rest of your life. You just have access to everything forever. And again, if you're part of the series, I'm going to be launching it early so you can get into pre-sale. And if you get into the pre-sale, you'll get access to the workout plans right away so you can immediately start, and a couple of the guides for like starting out. And you'll also have access to me and my workout app. So you'll have the workouts in the app. You'll be able to record yourself doing all of the exercises, send those videos to me, and I will give you feedback on every single thing that you do. So yeah, every single day that you're in the gym, every single workout that you do, you're going to record it, send it to me, and you'll get my feedback, which is huge. You're going to be able to get way better at your form and technique when you have somebody giving you feedback on that. So that is going to be exclusive to anybody who gets into the pre-sale. And that's just going to be you guys who are a part of the series. So yeah, make sure you go sign up, get your email in there, get on that list so that you can be a part of all of these. So that is the Kickstart Your Health series that's starting next week on Tuesday at 12. All of these episodes are going to come out on Tuesdays at noon. So just keep your eye out there. It's going to be a weekly thing. And yeah, I am so freaking excited. We did it. We made it through the first episode. Thanks for joining along. I'm going to try to keep all of my episodes between half an hour and 45 minutes. I am a talker. I'm sure you've seen that. So I'm going to do my best to keep the time fairly short so that, I'm not using up too much of your time. I just want to get lots of good information out there. So thank you so much for hanging out, and I will let my past self take this out on an outro, and I will see you guys next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening in today. I'm so incredibly grateful that you took the time out of your day to listen and to support my podcast. If you're ready to feel the best you've ever felt, I would absolutely love to work with you. I have quite a few offers available, from nutrition audits to teaching you how to design your own workouts to group and private one-on-one coaching. Be sure to check out the link in the show notes or go to linktree/Allie Doss. So that's linktr.ee/ALYDAWS to see what I have available right now. I love chatting with you, so don't hesitate to email or reach out on Instagram if you have any questions whatsoever. Have an incredible week, my friend, and we will chat soon.